This period brought to you by the redesigned 2014 Toyota Tundra. Tough enough for any project.
Rogers Arena in Vancouver, Canucks and the Coyotes. Vancouver 1-1-1 against Phoenix so far this season as they play a big conference game here in Vancouver. Starting goalies brought to you by Tim Hortons, official coffee of the NHL. Matchup of two of Canada's three Olympic goalies. Mike Smith shut out the Canucks 1-0 10 days ago, but he's since resumed his erratic ways. 12 goals against in his last 4 starts. Meanwhile, Roberto Luongo couldn't make one goal stand up against Nashville on Friday. He's now 2-1 in 3 games back since returning from the ankle injury. Antoine Vermette had the only goal in the 1-0 shutout 10 days ago. Banked that one in off a Canuck player. And we're underway with Vermette winning the opening face-off. Keith Yandel controls the puck for Phoenix. Backhands one ahead to Vermette, who drops back, and Yandel skates to center. Pass ahead, broken up by Chris Tanev, who continues to fight for the puck along the boards. Gets it ahead to Burrows. And he backhands the puck in. This line, Higgins, Kessler, and Burrows. Daniel Sedin had that spot where Higgins is last in. But Mike Sullivan juggling things up as the Canucks continue the search for all those elusive goals that they hope are somewhere. Here's Paul Bissonnette, who's back in the Phoenix lineup in place of Rob Klinkhammer. Tips the puck into the Vancouver zone. Burrows back to collect. And he passes to Jason Garrison, who has room to skate with the puck. Long pass ahead, a good one. Kessler moves in, cuts to the middle. Now to the outside of the backhand. Kessler turns, centers. On the far side of the ice is Zach Kassian, who's come on a change. Kassian shoots the puck around for Garrison to go after. Towards the net. That hit Higgins in front. He gets the puck and works it to the left wing. Back to Garrison. Other point. Edler with a drive. Stopped by Smith. Richardson banging away at the equipment of the Phoenix goaltender. And Oliver Ekman-Larsson got in his face right away.
Mike Smith had it tied up in his equipment, but it wasn't in his glove, so Brad Richardson's taking a whack. Nice play by Garrison across. Edler's shot through a maze, and you can see Mike Smith's got it squeezed. We were talking about Smith and Roberto Luongo, the way Carey Price is playing lately. You're looking at goaltender number 1 and goaltender number 2.
Luongo's numbers have been very good. Pre-injury, post-injury. In fact, it was multiple injuries. Cost him time. Here's Daniel Sedin. He's on a line with Zach Dalpe in the middle. Zach Kassian on the other wing. Dave Moss at center goes rink wide. And here's Ribeiro in over the Vancouver line. Drops left point. Yandel, other side. Morris, slap shot. Missed the net by a good margin. Kassian can't catch up with the puck. BX is after it on the far side. And ahead to Kassian, but it's off his skate and it stays in the Vancouver zone. Stanton intercepts a centering pass and is able to feed Zach Dalpe now to Kassian, who shoots a long one in wide of the goal. Canucks going with 7 defensemen in this game. David Booth not playing. Yannick Weber is dressed as an extra forward and will probably man the left point on the first power play. Right now it's Richardson out there with Yannick Hansen. And they're soon to be joined by Dale Weiss once Daniel Sedin gets to the bench. Here's a pass to Edler at the left point. And he shoots one in deep for Richardson. Weiss is onto the ice now and goes to the front of the net as Richardson tries to center, blocked by Smith, and he grabs the puck for the whistle.
Mike Sullivan must be pleased with his start in this one. His team has had the territorial edge, playing in the Phoenix zone. A couple of shots on Mike Smith already.
Third game behind the bench as headman for Sullivan. It'll be 6 total before John Tortorella is eligible to return in a road game in Detroit on February the 3rd. Kellen Lane out, centering Sestito and Weber. Coyotes have the puck. Zbigniew Michalek up the left wing. Here's Tim Kennedy cutting it on goal. Centers, and the pass was just disrupted by Garrison. Intended for Jeff Halpern going to the net. Sestito the other way, plays the puck behind the goal, moves in on Smith. And that's one thing the Canucks didn't do well in their last meeting with Phoenix, John. That's have the smart shoot-ins that the goaltender can't play.
Mike Smith handled the puck 13 times in the first 2 periods in that game in Phoenix. You got to keep it away from him.
Here's Oliver Ekman-Larsson. Pass ahead off the stick of Weiss. Bounces wide of the Vancouver goal. Dan Hamhuis goes back. Up the middle for Richardson, who banks the puck for Weiss, and he tips it out. Vermette takes control under pressure from Hansen. He loses the puck. Richardson down the right wing. Richardson slows, tries a shot. That's off Michael Stone, another play, and there'll be another face-off in the Phoenix zone.
Now watch Yannick Weber here. He's supposed to be covering defense, but he's in the middle. And that's why this ends up being a 2-on-1. And as you said, a great play by Jason Garrison diving back. But the defenseman playing forward, you have to know that if you're filling in, you got to stay on your own side. And Weber was right down the middle instead of over on the other side.
Kessler wins a face-off. Stanton to the Exa. One-time attempt blocked. Puck loose in the slot. Cleared ahead by Phoenix. And here's Radim Vrbata. In on the right side, sends one through for Schlemko, centering pass out of the reach of Kennedy. Burrows after the loose puck, being tied up by Hansen. Bieksa gets it ahead to Kessler, tried to relay to Bieksa, but that's broken up, and Stone controls for Phoenix. 3.5 minutes into the first, no score, just the one shot on goal. That was off the stick of Alex Edler from well out. Canucks turn the puck over in their own zone, but a good defensive play by Kessler to knock the pass away that Hansel was trying to send in front. McCulloch controls in his own zone, with both teams making substitutions. Ekman Larsson ahead, and Korpikoski deflects the puck into the Vancouver zone. Handhuse quickly up for Higgins, who's tied up by McCulloch. Handhuse tries the other side with a pass to Chris Tanev, and he's able to bank the puck ahead and out. Vermette kicks the puck up to his stick, fires onto the right wing. Here's Bodker trying to move in. Handhuse recovered to tie him up. But the Coyotes hold the puck in the Vancouver zone. Bodker from the corner tries to center. That's off the stick and off the side of the goal. And Phoenix trying a pass back, puts the puck out. Here's Cassian quickly over the Coyotes' blue line. He's checked, keeps after the puck. Now Dalpe on the left wing. Pass into the corner, broken up. And Vermette finds Korpikoski, who passes to Ekman Larsson. Mike Ribeiro, who's riding a 3-game point streak. Flips the puck into the Vancouver zone. Richardson taps it around for Hansen. And he passes up to Dale Weiss. Weiss, a nice assist on the Canucks' only goal last game. The Higgins tip-in that Weiss set up with a nice hard pass. Here comes Phoenix over the Vancouver line. Moss with a wrist shot. There's Luongo's first save with a blocker. And now a penalty coming up to Garrison as he chopped the puck over the glass trying to get it out. And a delay of game call will put Phoenix on the power play.
Well, on the rebound off Roberto Luongo, Jason Garrison just flips it. It's in the air. It's off Luongo, and you can see it's waist high, and Jason Garrison's just trying to get it up in the air. And he does that, up in the air over the glass.
So first power play to Phoenix. Canucks penalty killing, which led the league pretty much all season. Has surrendered goals in 4 of its last 5 games. Ekman Larsson passes across for Vrbata. Wrist shot. Luongo the save. Loose puck. Hansel whacking it, and Luongo was able to hold it out. Phoenix's power play ranked 9th in the NHL. Hadn't been higher than 23rd in any of the last 4 seasons. And another save by Luongo. Puck is loose on the side, and Higgins able to tap it away from Vrbata. Couple close calls already for the Coyotes with this man advantage. 90 seconds to go, and at Ekman Larsson to Yandel. Other side, Vrbata, one-time attempt, and Handhuse got his stick on that and deflected the puck out of play.
Well, Martin Hansel is right in front of the net. Now Ryan Kessler's talking to him. There's Hansel and Handhuse. He's so big, 6'6", 240. And Roberto Luongo can't find the puck through Hansel's legs.
There you see the Coyotes among the league leaders of late. It's mentioned 9th overall, and the Canucks struggling mightily. Phoenix has a power play goal in 9 of its last 10 games. Bodker down low. Don't fan on his pass. Gets the puck back to the blue line. Now Vermette misses the puck, and Edler sends it ahead just out of the reach of Richardson, who had designs of skating it alone on Mike Smith. Smith turns the puck over to Burrows. Alex Burrows in front. Richardson got a stick on it, but the puck went out of play in the corner to the left of Smith.
That's the thing with Mike Smith. He's always active, always handling the puck. And this one, he just throws blindly up the wing. And Alex Burrows is there to pick it off. Here he's looking, and there's nobody even close except Alex Burrows. A good read, throws it, and Brad Richardson just unable to tip that one on net.
16 career shorthanded goals for Alex Burrows. That's second in Canucks history. Richardson has 8, 2 of them this year. Only Pavel Bure with more shorthanded goals for the Canucks than Alex Burrows. Here's Keith Yandel. With under a minute to go in the power play, drops it center for Shane Doan. Vermette onto the left side, and now Yandel with room right point, settles the puck. Passes over to Ekman Larsson. He tried to relay to the other side for Bodker. Daniel Sedin broke that up but couldn't get the puck up. Doan rings it around to the right point, and Yandel hustles over to hold it in. Yandel, left point, Ekman Larsson. Across, Vermette with room. Elects to pass to Yandel, back to Vermette, cutting in front with a wrist shot, no longer got it onto the left shoulder as he fought that one off. Ekman Larsson at the left point. Pass for Yandel, comes through to Vermette under pressure from Daniel Sedin, who knocks the puck loose. Edler gets it, can't move it through the pile. 10 seconds to go on the power play, puck still in the Vancouver zone. And now it's poked back to Yandel. He sends one across. Ekman Larsson with a shot stop by Luongo. Doan on the rebound. Pass was behind Bodker. And Garrison out of the box is able to clear ahead to Ryan Kessler. He's all by himself moving into the wrist shot. That went off Yandel wide. Kessler gets his own rebound. But he's checked in the corner, and Bodker picks up the puck and taps it ahead. Coyotes with 4 shots on that power play, but could not score. And here's Jannik Hansen in with speed. Hansen through the defense, centers. What a stop by Smith as he denied Yannick Weber on the doorstep after the quick burst of speed and the setup from Jannik Hansen. Smith with the stop. Game still scoreless as the Yannicks tried to combine.
Play Safeway's $1 million score and win. If any Vancouver player scores 5 goals in tonight's game, Gita Butwilowski of Surrey could win $1 million. Shop and swipe at Safeway. You could be our next lucky winner.
Mike Smith reads his play. Jannik Hansen with a great move. One of the nicest that he's made in a while on Keith Yandel. And you can see that Mike Smith is cheating. He's pushing off on that right skate. And he gets across on Yannick Weber. An educated guess. I guess it's not cheating, it's an educated guess. Guy's on the backhand.
Here's Oliver Ekman Larsson passing ahead. Korpikoski fights off a check, moves in on the left wing with a wrist shot that went off a stick and wide of the goal. Bodker got that one past Daniel Sedin, who had a chance to intercept. Vermette from the corner, stick broke. Korpikoski keeps control of the puck, but his pass is intercepted by Daniel Sedin. Tries to work his way out, fights off a hook. There'll be a penalty for that hook. And the Canucks are going to get a power play out of this. Luongo to the bench for the extra attacker as Edler controls the puck and starts out. I think it was Korpikoski who got the stick in on Daniel Sedin. Here's Kassian centering. Dalby on the backhand shoots wide. Smith steered it further wide. And now the Coyotes get control of the puck and the whistle blows for the penalty to Phoenix and the power play for Vancouver.
Well, Daniel Sedin has body position on Lauri Korpikoski, and Korpikoski reaches around. Daniel's got position. Korpikoski right there, stick in the hands, right in front of the referee, and he goes off for hooking.
So a power play chance for the Canucks, who are desperate to get going with the man advantage. 0 for 9 their last 2 games and 2 for the last 31.
Yannick Weber.
Weber on the left point, the right-hand shot, replacing Dan Hanius. And dressing in this game as a 7th defenseman, in large part for this role. Daniel Sedin hangs the puck back to Weber. Daniel again. Goal line, Kessler trying to get it across for Garrison. That was blocked, and the puck is cleared down the ice by David Moss.
Hard to make that pass in tight right through the crease. If the defenseman doesn't get it, the goalie, chances are, will.
What you're saying is they've got Garrison and Weber on the points. You'd like to see some shots.
I would like to see it.
Daniel Sedin with a centering pass right under the stick of Radim Vrbata, and he clears the puck down the ice. .45 seconds elapsed in the penalty to Lauri Korpikoski as Weber drops to Kessler. Left side, Daniel Sedin. Bobbled the puck a bit. Now shoots it around to the far side. Ekman Larsson intercepts, gets it ahead and out. Kessler once more. Weber goes to the bench, replaced by Tannen, who's now a second unit power play man. Chris Tannen, who hasn't seen power play time this season on very many occasions, but his pass is off the mark, and the Canucks have yet to set up on the power play, which is a minute 15 in. Edler rushes ahead. Pass to Chris Higgins. Leaves for Dalby, who skates down the left wing. Passing from the right wing corner. Still the Canucks haven't set up, and Verbata has the puck with a pass to center to Martin Hanzal. He wrists one in on Luongo. Almost intentionally steered that one over the glass, maybe to get a chance for the first unit to get back out. Canucks Power Play brought to you by Subway Restaurants. Enter for your chance to win the Subway Road Trip of a Lifetime at roadtripofalifetime.nucksnation.com.
I think it's important for the power play to have one guy who can carry it, gain the blue line. And Henrik Sedin, naturally they miss Henrik Sedin. He's a guy who can carry it, gain the blue line, and then get set up.
Double whammy in this game. You never want to shoot it in on the power play if you don't have to. You have the Mike Smith effect too. BX gets the puck off the draw. 15 seconds to go on the man advantage, and Hanhus gets to center and risks the puck into Phoenix territory. And there's Smith, who will clear it around himself. Held in by Hanhus, forced out by Halpern as he falls down. Korpikoski about to step back on as Dalpe fires ahead to Higgins. Penalty's over. Canucks did not manage a shot on goal, but they get a goal, and this one is Dalpe tipped it in, I think, on the shot from Bieksa. Right after the power play expired, the Canucks test Smith, and he fails the test. It's 1-0.
Well, give Chris Higgins credit for this goal, because Chris Higgins is the guy who gains control along the boards and gets the puck back to Kevin Bieksa. It's a rolling puck, and it's through a maze. Chris Higgins, stop, little button hook in the corner, maintain control and get it back to Bieksa. Rolling puck. I don't know whether he tipped that one or not, John. You can see it dancing. It's standing right on end. I think that's straight in.
It's a knuckler. We'll see if Dalpe gets credit or whether it was Bieksa's puck knuckling its way in on his own.
I think Dalpe should get an assist because he was the one that gave it to Chris Higgins.
If the Coyotes touch this puck, it will be a hand pass, and now the ref's going to say, we'll just blow it down. Face-off will be in the Vancouver zone. We'll await the scoring on the goal, but the Canucks have one, and they lead 1-0.
Is your group of friends or sports team or class looking to attend a Canucks game at Rogers Arena? Canucks Group Tickets program offers incredible savings for groups of 20 or more. Save money at the box office and enjoy added benefits for both the group organizer and each group member. Visit Canucks.com/groups for more information or call 899-GOAL and press 3.
Now here's the puck standing right on end for Kevin Bieksa. Look at it knuckle. Mike Smith doesn't like it, but it beats him.
And it is Bieksa's goal, his third of the season. At 10:31 of the opening period. And the Canucks able to solve Mike Smith, something they couldn't do last time these teams met. Canucks have 4 to center as Kessler breaks in on the right wing, settles the puck. Kessler centers, Hansen scores! Two goals in under a minute, and the Canucks lead 2-0.
Dave Tippet's not going to like the way this started. It started in the Canucks zone with a pass back to the point. It was going to nobody except Ryan Kessler. Okay, here's the pass. Schlemko's a defenseman. He's throwing it back. Now Kessler is off to the races. Shane Doan is trying to play defense. He turns, and Jannik Hansen just snaps it right through Mike Smith. See, Shane Doan's covering for Schlemko, and he turns on Kessler. As soon as he turns, Kessler passes it across, and Jannik Hansen with a quick shot.
Hansen scores his 9th. The goals come 44 seconds apart. And a feeling of relief for the Canucks, you can bet, who've struggled so mightily to score goals. They get a couple in quick succession here. Jannik Hansen ends an 11-game drought. Here's a centering pass at the other end, and Vermette scores! They're coming fast and furious now as Antoine Vermette going to the goal put that one in, and the Coyotes answer just 18 seconds after the 2-0 goal.
And Roberto Luongo doesn't like this one. He reached back with his stick to try and get it. And gets it into his own net. Here's the breakout. Vermette makes the play to start the play to David Moss and charges through. And he misses his shot. And yet it just trickles by. Here's Vermette, makes the play to Moss, and then just right up the middle. Pass by Moss right back to Vermette. That probably would have gone wide It would have gone wide, but Roberto trying to get it with his stick tips it back into the net.
Unforced error gets Phoenix on the board. And Vermette has his 16th, his second in as many games against the Canucks. He had the only goal in the 1-0 game.
Wouldn't it be nice to watch a 6-5 game?
I think that's what Carey Price is hoping for. Canucks got the first two. They were 44 seconds apart. They produced a couple of winners on Score and Win for Safeway and Ocean Spray Juice Blend. Scott Livingston of Vancouver, you won a DVD prize pack from E1. And another winner for Safeway and Ocean Spray Juice Blend. Nathan Chen of Richmond, you won a Garmin Nuvi GPS. Vermette gets that one back, as mentioned, 18 seconds after the Hansen goal. Moss and Morris, the assists. Kennedy controls in his own zone. Edler intercepts and flips the puck out. Higgins giving chase, tries a shot off the left wing, and that missed on the short side. Kessler holds the puck into the corner for Chris Higgins. Now behind the net, Kessler puts the puck on the forehand. Kessler looking in front, tried to feed one through for Higgins. That was cleared. Tanev holds the line. Kessler tips one in front. Hansel intercepts. And Martin Hansel passes ahead to Kennedy, who gets the puck into the Vancouver zone where Tanev takes control. Giveaway at center as Edler's pass was picked off by Chipchura. He tried to move in. Now Stone can neutralize. And finally Chipchura able to force the puck over the line. Canucks clear it right back out. 7 minutes remaining, first period, 2-1 Vancouver. Luongo to his net, gets the puck through to Weiss, quickly to Richardson. Brad Richardson from center backhands the puck into Phoenix territory. Schlemko goes back. Now Paul Bissonnette for the Coyotes. And he sends one out to center where Hamhuis takes control and plays the puck back in behind the Phoenix net. Smith quickly to the side. Schlemko up the left wing boards, and now Chipchura relays to center, but right to Chris Tanev. Visit Ramada.ca for best rates and special offers as Smith handles that long dump in. And he'll take the whistle for a face-off in the Phoenix zone.
John, you and I were talking about Jannik Hansen before the game and how his game since his shoulder injury just hasn't had that flow to it like we saw earlier in the season. But in this game, that backhand pass to Yannick Weber right away, good burst of speed to get himself open, and then his goal on a rush with Brian Kessler. He looks a lot better here in the first period.
Here's Zach Kassian off the draw. Bieksa moves down from the right point. Dalpe's covering for him. Bieksa behind the net to Kassian. Turning in the corner. It'll be a penalty here to Derek Morris, who put his stick into the feet of Zach Kassian. And another power play here for the Canucks. They'll be hoping for better execution as they get their second of the hockey game.
Derek Morris talking to the referee, but this is just one of those lazy penalties where you put yourself in a vulnerable position by getting your stick in the guy's skates. And there's Derek Morris, one hand on the stick, just reaches around, stick in the skates, takes a tripping penalty.
Starts now.
Kessler, Daniel Sedin, Alex Burrows up front, Jason Garrison, Yannick Weber, same unit that started the last power play. See if they can get set up, maybe with a face-off win, and see if they can start feeding those two-point men with the big shots. Weber, left point. Daniel Sedin across. Garrison couldn't take the pass clearly. Kessler works to keep the puck alive and sends it around to Daniel Sedin. Daniel back to Weber. Slap shot. And that hit McCulloch, who is checking Alex Burrows. Here's Weber. Down to Daniel. Daniel cuts in front with a shot block. Burrows took a swing of the rebound. Halpern winds up with the puck and he backhands it down the ice. Canucks throw it ahead quickly and Kessler tips it through to Daniel Sedin. Pass across for Garrison and Vermette read that well and tipped the puck out to neutral ice. Weber forced back by Vermette. Minute 15 to go on the man advantage. Kessler starts from behind his own net. Kessler to Alex Burrows. He carries in the Phoenix zone, leaves for Daniel Sedin. Now Kessler checks, Vermette chops the puck, held in by Weber. Another chance to clear. This time Korpikoski makes no mistake and gets the puck down the ice. Here's Zach Kassian. And that rush is thwarted. Edler to Dalpe. Wrist shot blocked by McCulloch. Dalpe fights for the puck behind the net, but Ekman-Larsson tips it to the near side. And was able to shield the puck. Verbata following up, carries in over the Vancouver blue line, now skates the other way, checked by Kassian, who drops off to Tanev. Dalpe tried to find Higgins, plays onside. Here's Dalpe making moves, cutting towards the goal, feeds behind the net to Kassian, quickly back to Tanev. Left point Edler, 10 seconds to go on the power play. Here's Tanev to Dalpe, down low. Higgins with a centering pass, intended for Kassian, it didn't get through. Now the puck thrown back, and Tanev's going to have to collect it at center. As Morris steps out of the box, Canucks are 0 for 2 on the power play, still leading 2-1. Higgins down the left side. And he's interfered with, trying to play a give and go with Kassian. Higgins appealing for a penalty, play goes on, and here's Bodker in with a drop pass for Ribeiro. He sends one in front, and the relay from Doan intended for Bodker never got through. Higgins clears the zone. McCulloch controls at center with under 4 minutes to go in the first, and the Canucks leading 2-1. Bieksa checked. Doan centers. McCulloch long shot deflected. Luongo with 2 saves. The second on the rebound, a backhander by Bodker. Now McCulloch shoots again, and that one deflects wide of the goal. 2 tough stops for Luongo. Here's Ekman-Larsson with a wrist shot. Luongo got the left shoulder on it. And he's rebounded nicely after the embarrassing one that got by him. Here's McCulloch at the right point. Zbigniew McCulloch tries to get one through traffic. Hansen intercepts, and he's able to relieve the pressure. That first sequence, a tipped shot and then the Bodker rebound, and then the left shoulder stop as Luongo reacted quickly, and it's still 2-1 with Bodker rifling the puck into the Vancouver zone.
I like the left leg save better on the first rebound.
Okay. You're the expert. My years with Honest Nats, the late 70s, tending goal at Carisdale Arena don't quite add up to the WHA and NHL numbers that we were able to put up.
Thank you.
2.5 minutes to go in the first. Ryan Stanton pokes the puck free. Alex Burrows tries to get ahead, intercepted. Here's Verbata with a wrist shot attempt, blocked by Stanton. Burrows trying again to clear the puck. Tied up, but able to find Kessler, who relays to Chris Higgins. Kessler taken down, play goes on. Higgins forces the puck over the Phoenix line, and Yandel has it. Coyotes turn it over at center. Hanhughes turns back to his own zone and passes to Tanev. 2 minutes to go in the first, 2-1 Canucks. Daniel Sedin in on the left wing, drops for Kassian, trying to bust his way in front. Daniel follows up with a slap shot, big rebound. Vermette there. Can't get it by Tanev, but now he gets the puck again and sends it up the right wing for Mikhail Bodker. Bodker, backhand pass in front, knocked away by Tanev. Good quick pace to this game of late. And here's a drop pass from Daniel Sedin that was just off the mark with Dalpe trying to break in 2-on-1. Minute and a half to go in the first. And bobbling the puck is Schlemko, but he recovers to get it out. And here's Ribeiro relaying to Shane Doan. Doan down the left side. Edler over to check in. Weiss trying to tie up the puck. Ribeiro gets to the blue line. Now it's thrown over to McCulloch, but it came off his stick and outside the line. Whistle blows with 1:14 to go in the first. Lots of continuous action. Canucks up by 1.
This period brought to you by the redesigned 2014 Toyota Tundra. Tough enough for any project.
You can decide which save you like best. Roberto Luongo in that last little sequence. Michael Bodker right in front. Okay, tip it, first save, second save. Third one goes wide. Screenshot, doesn't see it till the last minute. Keep those shoulders high, able to get the left shoulder in it.
You can decide which save you like the best, but John Garrett will tell you you're wrong. Here's a pass back. Bieksa with a drive, and Smith contacted, loses his mask, will be attempted to Weiss. Play goes on. Now they'll blow it down because the mask was knocked off, but Dale Weiss is going to get a goaltender interference penalty in the final minute of the first period.
Mike Smith donning the cage.
2 minutes for goaltender interference.
Dale Weiss, goaltender interference. Dale Weiss, Mahalik. And Weiss makes sure he gets a piece of the goaltender. I don't mind that call. He drags a hand over to...
Got him with the right arm
yes,
and the left hand.
And the left hand. And ends up in the penalty box.
Might as well get your money's worth. But it could be a costly one in 19:02 of the first period, as the Coyotes, who looked very sharp on their only power play earlier, didn't score but managed 4 shots and controlled the puck nicely, get their second opportunity. Phoenix wins the face-off. Bodker centers, tipped by Vermette, just wide rebound. The top half of the net was open, but Doan couldn't find it. The puck was out of play in the corner.
Shane Doan with the quick hands, and you can see him talking to Roberto Luongo with a big smile on his face. Doan, the screen presence. Behind the net, pulls it out almost between his legs, tries to get it up and over the pad of Roberto Luongo, but up and over the glass.
Bodker shoots the puck back in with 40 seconds now remaining in the first period. Coyotes set it up for Bodker. Now Ekman Larsson had to reach for that one. Didn't have quite the shooting angle he wanted for the windup, and the Canucks wind up with the puck and get it down the ice. 20 seconds to go in the period as Hansel moves in with a slap shot. Luongo challenging on that one as he knew Hansel had no other option. Burrows brings the puck out. It's onto the stick of Richardson. 10 seconds to go in the period as he makes a move down the left wing. Richardson, puck knocked off his stick. Burrows is after it behind the goal, knocked away by Yandel, and that will do it for period number 1. Canucks scoring goals 44 seconds apart. And then Phoenix answering as Bieksa got the first. Jannik Hansen, the 2-0 goal before Antoine Vermette was able to get a weird one past Roberto Luongo, who was excellent despite that. We'll hear from Zach Dalpe with Joey Kenward in our first intermission of the panel tonight, featuring Murph, Ian McIntyre, and Mark Spector. That's all ahead. It's 2-1 through 1 here in Vancouver.
Hockey Central at the intermission, brought to you by the all-new 2014 Toyota Corolla. Corolla, like you've never seen it before.
Welcome back to Vancouver. Canucks looking for just their 4th win in the last 13 games. A 2-1 lead thanks to goals from Bieksa and Hansen, but Vermette did strike back rather quickly. 2-1, start of the second period. John?
And the Canucks shorthanded to start the second period. Leading 2-1, but they'll be down a man for the next minute 3 seconds. That's what's left in the goaltender interference penalty, assessed Dale Weiss late in first. Roberto Luongo for the Canucks, Mike Smith for the Coyotes. And here's Hansel trying to move in, pass knocked away. Canucks after the puck at center, taken back by Phoenix. And here's Mike Ribeiro, -2 in the first. Didn't play a heck of a lot, just over 4.5 minutes. And loses the puck there, but is able to knock it away from Chris Higgins. Kessler, some dogged determination to take the puck from Hansel. And the Canucks good early penalty killing here in the second. Here's Higgins in, tried a drag move, and wound up losing the puck. Back comes Ribeiro ahead to Hansel. Bieksa over to check him. Bieksa dumps the puck around. Burrows waiting, chops it past Ekman Larsson out to center. Here's Brad Richardson in full flight. Richardson tried to get around Yandel, who knocked the puck away. And Keith Yandel takes control, gives it away to Richardson. Killing time, he passes back to Edler, who dumps the puck into the Phoenix zone. Dying seconds of the Coyote power play, David Schlemko to center. Pass too far ahead for Bodker. Edler goes back around to Bieksa, nice tip pass, and here's Dalpe. Weiss is out of the box, and he takes the feed on the left wing, turns and backhands the puck in before being met by Michael Stone. Daniel Sedin on the forecheck, puck goes off him high up in the air over the glass, and a face-off will come outside the Phoenix Coyotes blue line.
This period, brought to you by McCain's new 4-meat Rising Crust Pizza. McCain, it's all good.
Canucks penalty killers, a nice job. The minute 3 that they killed, they never did let Phoenix gain the blue line and get set up. Very aggressive in the neutral zone.
Here's Lauri Korpikoski into the Vancouver zone. Bobbled the puck. Halpern picks it up. Sends it in front. Quick shot stop at Longo. Got the rebound as well. Now it's in. Forced in. Waved off. Chipchura forced it over the line. Might this be similar to the one in...
Kicked in, they're saying. Waved off immediately.
So Mike Lego demonstratively making the kicking motion, waving it off, and for the moment it stays 2-1 Canucks.
Roberto Luongo with 2 good saves, and there's the left toe. Kicked the field goal.
Not bad. Dave Cutler style.
Roberto with a great save. 2 good saves, and there's the Chipchura kicks it in. And Mike Lego right on it and waved it up.
Super Bowl coming up next weekend. I guess I should make the Mark Mosley reference as opposed to Dave Cutler. Discussion between Mike Lego and the folks in Toronto on whether his call stands or whether this is a 2-2 hockey game, but not much there, you'd say, that would conclusively be in dispute with what Lego's saying.
And Chipchura didn't complain. Chipchura might have thought, okay, it hit my stick after it hit my foot, but it doesn't. It's off his foot and it's in. And there's no doubt that he has the kicking motion going, and you can see Chipchura looking around. He wasn't that excited about it going in.
Canucks, here we go.
Following video review, it's confirmed that the puck was put in the net with a distinct kicking motion. No goal.
There you go. I was just going to say the Canucks had that one waved off in Phoenix 10 days ago. Henrik Sedin thinking he tied it, but ruled to have gone in off the glove.
Henrik almost celebrated too much.
Yeah.
We went from one extent, Chipchura, no celebration at all, and Henrik trying to sell it, I think, was celebrating too much.
So it stays 2-1 Canucks as the parent goal in a minute 32 of the second washed out. Weiss tips the puck into the Phoenix zone. McCulloch passes over to Oliver Ekman-Larsson. Feed ahead. And Korpikoski forces the puck deep. Hits Hamhuis as he plays the puck around. Now Jannik Hansen trying to move it out. Held in by Ekman-Larsson. Hamhuis pressured. Tanev gets the puck. Fires a pass onto the stick of Jannik Hansen. Ahead for Dale Weiss, who forces the puck deep into the Phoenix zone. Smith out to get it. Plays it away from Weiss to Ekman-Larsson. Passes up the middle, but gets it through to Vrbata. He relays to Tim Kennedy. Back to Vrbata. Slap shot, stick save Luongo. Edler gets the rebound. Can't clear it as it was blocked by Vrbata. Now Edler tips the puck to the near corner, and after the puck is Brad Richards. Beaten to it by Martin Hanzal. Coyotes working to hold the puck in. Richardson got it ahead for Hansen. Again, it's blocked and stays in the Vancouver zone. Vrbata, wrist shot blocked. And finally, Higgins gets the puck with some room and gets it out to center to Hansen. Trying to get by the defense. Hansen couldn't shoot it. Still after the puck. Yandel tries to clear, held in by Alex Edler. Yandel blocked the puck as he tried to get it down the boards to Edler. Now it's Derek Morris passing to center, and Vrbata tips the puck in behind the Vancouver goal. 3 minutes into the second, 2-1 Vancouver. Here's Kevin Bieksa. And that one, look out, off his stick and into the Vancouver bench. On the whistle, we'll check in with Murph.
Guys, Safeway's featured participating product for tonight's game between the Canucks and Coyotes is Ocean Spray Juice Blend.
Don't say it. Don't say
Cranberry
it.
cocktail.
Okay. I knew where you were going.
Yes. Darryl Williams almost got hit with that. Darryl Williams on the bench with John Tortorella not being allowed to. Got to pay attention when you're down there.
He doesn't have the thick flowing locks like you for extra protection.
Yes.
Here's Donin with a wrist shot. Save Luongo with the right pad. Ekman-Larsson holds the puck in. Burrow's able to force it out. Coyotes with 3 shots in the period. Canucks don't have any yet. And Vancouver just 7 shots in the hockey game so far, but have scored on 2 of them. David Mawson risks one on goal, and Luongo steers that to the side. Good job by Bieksa to force the puck in, and Burrows lifts it out and down into the Phoenix zone. Yandel, pass up the middle. Here's Doan with room, cuts in front. Doan to the net, he shot it high. The seas parted for Shane Doan, who walked right in. But that's twice on good opportunities. He's fired up over top of the net. And now we get a penalty against Vancouver. Cross-checking call. And it might be Tom Sestito heading off.
Shane Doan has this pass from Keith Yandel, and now he goes around Kevin Bieksa, who thought Doan was going to shoot. Look at this pass by Keith Yandel. Whoa. And the move by Shane Doan, and he fires it high again.
23 with the penalty. Edler, not 29. The cross-check at 4:09 of the second period, and another power play for Phoenix, third of the game.
Vancouver penalty, number 23, Alex Edler.
Phoenix sets up, looking to tie the hockey game. Yandel, Bodker, Yandel fakes the one-timer, fires back to Bodker, over to Yandel. There's the shot that hit his teammate Ekman Larsson. Puck comes right to Ryan Kessler, and he takes his time before flipping the puck down into the Phoenix zone.
Ekman Larsson played 11:29 in that first period.
Tanev breaks up that attempted entry and sends the puck into the Phoenix zone. Smith out of his net. Behind for Yandel, under pressure from Burrows. He works the puck to Ekman Larsson and gets a return pass. Minute 20 to go in the Phoenix power play as Vermette steps in on the left wing with a pass to Bodker. Try to get it back to Vermette. Knocked away by Bieksa, but Phoenix maintains control of the puck. Yandel, Bodker, wrist shot, Luongo the save, and he's able to cover. Puck was loose for a second, but Luongo grabs it for the whistle.
Shane Doan right there looking for that rebound. And you can see Jason Garrison and Kevin Bieksa trying not to get tied up with Shane Doan, and then Bieksa making sure Shane Doan doesn't have 2 cracks at him.
Just over a minute to go in the Phoenix power play. Garrison and Bieksa arrest. Handhus and Tanev out. Here's Yandel at the line. Urbata takes his pass to the goal line. Tipped on net by Hansel. Stopped by Luongo. Rebound cleared to the corner by Ryan Kessler. Urbata just holds the puck onside. Ekman Larsson looking in front. Yandel takes his pass. Shoots. Hoping for a tip from Ribeiro. Now the puck thrown in front. Here's Urbata. Couldn't settle, but he's able to hustle back and hold the puck in the zone. 40 seconds to go in the Phoenix power play. Ribeiro on the left wing. Gives the puck away under pressure from Kessler, and Tanev sends it down the ice. Mike Ribeiro steps over the Vancouver blue line. Dumps the puck across. Another bad pass from Ribeiro. Here's Garrison throwing one ahead for Hansen out of his reach. But now just 10 seconds remain in the minor penalty to Alex Edler.
This is what drives coaches nuts about Mike Ribeiro. He's made 2 or 3 bad passes. He's been out for the full 2 minutes on this power play.
Makes a good pass at the blue line now. Hansel moves in, drops back to Stone, who bobbled the puck. Now he backhands it in front. Canucks are back to full strength as Garrison sends the puck down. And it'll be icing.
Oh, man.
Face-off comes back into the Vancouver zone. Here's Dan.
Guys, now it's time to live the game with the Windows. Canucks farm team was in Abbotsford Friday and Saturday night. Ben Ferrier, the offensive hero both times, scoring in overtime on Friday and Saturday. But look at the numbers in terms of attendance. Season average for Abbotsford, 2497. Last 2 games versus Utica, over 5,300.
Murph was there, living the game with Windows.
You know who I felt good for was Joachim Eriksson, who his NHL debut, he allowed 6 in relief. A shutout on Friday, and he's won 3 of his last 4 starts since he went back.
Well, you've now jinxed the rest of his season. I mean, you can't talk about that, can you?
I could talk about that.
I know. It's like a homecoming for Murph. Proud native of Abbotsford. I'm sure there were a lot of pictures taken, autographs signed. Korpikoski with a slap shot. Ooh, Luongo almost went off the inside of the pad. Made the save, however. And the Canucks clear to center. Still without a shot in this period is Vancouver. Phoenix has had 7. Of course, the Canucks began the period shorthanded, and Edler took a penalty just over 4 minutes in. So the Canucks need to get the puck to this end of the ice a little more. Here's Cassian on the left wing. Backhanding behind for Dalpe. McCulloch plays the puck away from him. Cassian holds it in the zone. Dalpe trying to dig it free. It's onto the stick of Vrbata, who passes quickly to Kennedy. Back for Vrbata, reaching in was Hamhuis to deflect that puck into the Vancouver bench. A break here, and the Canucks chance to talk over how they're going to get some offensive thrust in a game they lead 2-1.
Looking for an unforgettable way to host business clients, reward staff, or hold a birthday party or special event? Vancouver Canucks single game suites available now in a range of sizes and prices to suit any occasion. Take in a game in the privacy and comfort of a Canucks luxury suite. To learn more or to reserve one, visit Canucks.com/single game suites or call 604-899-7423.
Shorthouse family is in one of those tonight, aren't they?
They are. 3 birthdays. I think Finn must be in there right now because they've all left their seats.
Oh.
Finn celebrated his 500th game as a Canuck last year. Of course, he doesn't do the road game, so it takes longer. Canucks trying to pressure here. Edler with a shot. Smith, his first stop of the period. It comes nearly 8 minutes in, and he hangs on for the whistle.
Well, no traffic at all, but at least the Canucks, with some pressure, controlling the boards, get it point to point. And the shot by Alex Edler handled easily by Mike Smith.
All right, John, listen up. I got Barclays Premier League to tell you about. Liverpool, Everton, that's Tuesday, 11:30 in the morning. And the same time on Sportsnet World, you can see Southampton against Arsenal. PPR. Well, you'll be able to watch it. I, on the other hand, will be traveling. Here's a penalty coming up, as Cassian was taken down. And Chip Chura to the box. Canucks to the power play here. 8 minutes into the second.
Well, the second drawn penalty by Zach Cassian, and there's Chip Chura coming back with the stick between the legs.
Third power play for the Canucks. The team just dying for this aspect of the game to make a positive difference.
Time of the penalty, 8-minute mark of the second period. Chachura, 2 minutes for tripping.
Garrison will start out with the puck. Weber, the other point man. Sedin, Burrows, and Kessler up front. Canucks just onside. It's Daniel Sedin moving on the left wing. Now the puck comes behind the net to Kessler. Quickly gets it back to Weber. And over to Garrison, who bobbled the pass, but he just holds the puck onside. See if the Canucks can take advantage of that. Burrows from the corner, missed the puck, and cleared up the middle by McCulloch, past the sprawling Kessler and down into the Vancouver zone. Here's Ryan Kessler. Gets around Vermette. Trying to get around 2 more Coyotes. Puck held in by Garrison. Down for Daniel Sedin. Pressured. Puck cleared off Garrison's stick. Here comes Vermette. One-on-one on Weber. Korpikoski trying to join him. There's a shot. Daniel Sedin ties up Korpikoski in front. Now it's in. How did that get in the net?
Ryan Kessler.
A 2-2 tie, and you're telling me it's another own goal.
It is an own goal. Ryan Kessler coming back, and you watch Kessler's reaction. You see Mike Sullivan trying to keep the guys positive. This power play again, doing nothing. And now Antoine Vermette's got 3 short-handed goals in the last 4 games. And watch Ryan Kessler coming back. Vermette just trying to drag the puck, and Kessler coming back on his backhand. And look at Roberto Luongo's reaction.
He's trying to check it off his stick, and the angle of the 2 blades
That's it.
conspired for that puck to go up into the top of the net. It was an own goal. Vermette scored off Dan Hamhuis that provided the margin last time these teams met, and that was in a run where the Canucks had a whole bunch of pucks going in off their own bodies. Here's Dalpe. Wrist shot winds up in the corner. Tanev holds the puck in on the right wing. McCulloch intercepts behind the net and sends the puck past Edler and down the ice. So Vermette has both Phoenix goals in this hockey game. As John mentioned, a short-handed goal, his third in 4 games, and the only 3 short-handed goals Phoenix has scored this season. Smith out of his net, clears it off Kassian and out to center. One last chance for the Canucks moving on the power play. Higgins centers, Kassian, backhand attempt, couldn't get it through. And the puck is cleared out to center and gloved down by Chris Tanev. Past the halfway mark of the second period, a 2-2 tie in a game the Canucks led 2-0. Canucks on their 3 power plays have registered 0 shots and have given up a shorthanded goal. Plenty of work remains as Ribeiro backhands the puck in. Danielson pressured by a couple of Coyotes. Vodker out with the puck. Tanev trying to check in. Now the puck sent to Schlemko. Right point pass. Stone with a shot. Blocker save Luongo. Puck high in the air. Gloved down by Alex Burrows, who passes back to Tanev. Lost the puck in his skates, and the Coyotes immediately converge on him. Now Tanev gets it back as Doan went down. And Chris Tanev passes up to Alex Burrows, who tried to make a play, but the Coyotes turned the puck the other way. Offside, however, was Ribeiro, as Doan tried to move in. Coyotes have come back from 2-0 down to tie this hockey game, and they tied it on a weird one.
Coyotes captain Shane Doan earlier this season missed 12 games in a month of action because of Rocky Mountain spotted fever, a tick-borne bacterial disease known to be difficult to diagnose in its early stages. Luckily for him, it was diagnosed early because he was in Vancouver. And there's Dr. Mike Wilkinson, grew up in South Africa, well-versed in infectious diseases. He looked at the rashes that had broken on Doan's hands and feet, coupled that with the other symptoms, and figured it was Rocky Mountain spotted fever. So lucky for Doan, he was in Vancouver at the time.
Good to see him back playing. I'm sure he's a little upset with 2 golden opportunities he's missed. Here's Jannik Hansen moving in, the centering pass. And that was blocked. Zbynek McCulloch ahead for Radim Vrbata. Bounces that one through. Luongo plays the puck to the corner. Kevin Bieksa puts it up the middle. Higgins there. Slides the puck to an open wing. Hansen trying to pick up the puck as he was involved in a collision with Oliver Ekman-Larsson and went sprawling. Now Kennedy's offside as he took a spill at the Vancouver blue line, and the whistle blows.
I wonder about Oliver Ekman-Larsson now. He's skating gingerly after that collision with Jannik Hansen. He's going to the bench. Well, maybe he's not going to the bench. Looks like Jannik Hansen has a step on him, and a little crossbody takes him down. Trainer's talking to Ekman-Larsson now.
Zach Kassian taking a double shift here with Tom Sestito and Kellen Lane, who moves in on the right wing. Lane forces the puck in front off the side of the goal. Now Kassian running into by Handhuse, gets up to pick up the puck. Drops it to Chris Tanev. Left point, Handhuse. Wrist one wide. Both Sestito and Lane were trying to tip that puck into midair. Canucks still with just 1 shot in the period, which has under 8 minutes to go. Kassian trying to find some room on the right wing. Back to Tanev. Quickly to Handhuse. Dumps one in deep. Here's Lane from behind the net. Pass for Sestito. Comes back to Kellen Lane. And a good territorial shift at the very least here for this trio. Sestito from the corner. Turning on Ribeiro. Leaves for Kassian. Quickly back to Tanev. Wrist one in front. That goes high over the net off the glove of Smith, who's lost his goal stick. Canucks will try to take advantage of that. As the puck is centered, the Coyotes were all involved trying to get Smith his stick back, but no Canuck there able to get a stick on it, and the puck's down the ice. Tanev, long pass ahead. Higgins moves in on the left wing with a wrist shot attempt. That changed direction and missed on the short side. Back comes Mikkel Boedker. Pass ahead, Korpikoski down the right wing. Korpikoski with a wrist shot blocked by Jason Garrison. 7 minutes to go in the second, a 2-2 tie. And just the feel in the building and the way the game has gone, John, it almost feels like the Canucks are trailing. But they are on even terms in a game they once led 2-0. Garrison, weak clearing attempt. Here's Boedker. Korpikoski. Back to Ekman Larsson. Right point. Here's McCulloch. Puck on end. He sends it down the boards for Vermette. Vermette for Korpikoski. That's broken up. And here comes Chris Higgins. Dalpe racing down the middle. Higgins centers. Dalpe bouncing puck. Shoots off the post. Higgins on the rebound. Couldn't find the handle. Dalpe did well to settle that one eventually. Now another shot stopped by Smith. Loose puck taken away by McCulloch. He clears it off the glass and out. Dalpe off the post, short side. In his bid to give the Canucks the lead. Now the Coyotes trying to break in. Good burst of speed by Daniel Sedin to break that up. And back comes Brad Richardson into the Phoenix zone. Richardson stops. Centers. Burrows. Oh, rebound missed. Burrows the first chance on the tip and then couldn't find the angle. Now Richardson with a shot and Smith got a piece of that. Canucks coming to life all of a sudden. Bieksa for Daniel Sedin. Daniel making moves behind the net, taken down. Ekman Larsson doing the job. Now a penalty to the Canucks as Chipchura was tripped. And it'll be a Vancouver penalty after the fans thought there should have been one on Ekman Larsson. Canucks still on even terms. Dalpe a great chance and Burrows as well.
Do you want to win an all-expenses-paid road trip with the Canucks? Enter Subway's Road Trip of a Lifetime contest and you could win a trip for two to see the Canucks in Washington, Tampa Bay, and Florida. Visit roadtripofaLifetime.nucksnation.com.
Well, Daniel Sedin thought he was interfered with. Okay, he's knocked down there. Ekman Larsson takes him down, and then Daniel's stick is out. Trips up Chipchura, and he ends up in the penalty box.
Fourth power play for Phoenix. And on this one, the Coyotes have a chance to take their first lead, but here's Burrows to Richardson, and he tips the puck down to the Phoenix zone. Penalty coming just as the Canucks were having their best sequence of action in the period.
That all started with the fourth line shift.
Burrows gets the puck out. Richardson settles it. Moving in on Yandel. Tips the puck down to the corner. Burrows moves in on Hansel. And Burrows will peel off on a change as Bravada starts out with the puck. Under 5 minutes to go in the second. A 2-2 tie. And Bravada drives the puck around the Vancouver zone. Bieksa waiting for it. Pressured by Ribeiro, and Yandel holds the puck in. Across to Ekman Larsson. Back for Yandel. Higgins just missed that one. Here's Ribeiro cutting in front. Pass to the side, and that was off the shin pads of the Phoenix player, allowing Edler to clear the zone. Under a minute to go in the penalty to Daniel Sedin. Ribeiro. Rink wide for Met, who's got both Phoenix goals. Hooks the puck back to the blue line. Schlemko slap shot. That changed direction and went wide. Vermette to the blue line to Yandel. Over to Schlemko. Back to Keith Yandel with room. Fakes the shot. Here's Ribeiro down the left side. Mike Ribeiro retreats towards the boards. Fires into the corner. Doan across. And Vermette double clutched on his centering pass. Richardson easily intercepted and got the puck down the ice.
Vermette's got 2 goals without a shot on net. Maybe that's why he wanted to pass that one.
He's got 1 hat trick this year, 2 in his career, does Antoine Vermette. And he's still out there trying to hold the puck in the left point, but knocked away from him, and penalty comes to an end. So Phoenix 0 for 4 on the power play. And the game remains tied at 2 with 3.5 minutes to go in the second. Here come the Canucks. On the right wing, it's Daniel Sedin. Putting one in front, that goes wide of the goal. Higgins from the left wing corner. In behind the goal, Daniel Sedin check. Tanev hustles down from the right point. Runs into Shane Doan in the corner. Burrows gets the puck. Saw Brad Richardson hunched over his last penalty killing shift. He's gone to the Vancouver dressing room. Here's a goal! Chris Higgins right in the goal crease. And against the flow here in the second period, the Canucks regain the lead.
Well, Chris Higgins is skating through the high slot, and on his backhand, he's able to tip it, and it just squeaks through the pads of Mike Smith. And you kill a penalty, you come back, you have a good shift, you control the boards. Mike Smith's looking up to see what happened. There's Daniel Sedin, there's Chris Higgins, and it's Chris Higgins who gets his stick on it. Draws it back, and it beats Mike Smith. Good job by Daniel Sedin to go to the net and just bother the goaltender enough.
If it's Higgins, it's his second in as many games. Here's a steal. Kassian backhander stopped by Smith. Kassian on his own rebound, and the puck bounced over his stick. If they were to award it to Daniel Sedin, it would end an 11-game drought. In any event, it's 3-2 Vancouver, and that's 3 goals, John, on 11 shots on Mike Smith. And that's in keeping with the form he's been in lately, save for the strong performance, the shutout against the Canucks.
Well, the game before the shutout, the game after the shutout, he was very good.
Here's a chance for Garrison up the middle. Dishes off. Dalby, backhander, stopped by Smith. Dalby scores on his own rebound. Four goals on 12 shots, make it 13 as Dalby had a couple cracks there, and he makes it 4-2.
Well, what a play by Jason Garrison. The defense getting involved in the offense. Kevin Bieksa's got a goal. Jason Garrison right down the middle, and then the backhand pass to Dalby. Dalby's had a real good game. He had that post earlier, and he gets back on side. Kassian to Garrison to Dalby. Backhand, it stays right with it. Rebound came back to him, and he's able to find the net. Look at that pass by Jason Garrison. And Dalby backhand gets his own rebound and makes no mistake.
Canucks' first 2 goals came 44 seconds apart. Their latest 2, 42 seconds apart. As they announce the Higgins goal, Dalby has scored another one. Here's Ekman Larsson putting one in front. Ooh, that just went through the crease and narrowly missed the far post. Han Hughes, the only assist on the Higgins goal. That made it 3-2, and 42 seconds later, it was Zach Dalby restoring the 2-goal lead that the Canucks had enjoyed at one point in the first period. Tim Kennedy in on the left wing. Slap shot blocked by Bieksa. That hurt. Bieksa struggling to his feet. Now battles for the puck in the corner. Lane trying to move it out. Bieksa gamely staying out there with a penalty on the play. Holding call. And Kellen Lane is going to head to the penalty box as Bieksa tries to shake off the effects of that shot block.
Vancouver, number 54, 2 minutes for holding.
Shift after a goal. Kellen Lane, left hand. You can see the left hand's free and he's reaching around. That's just a bad positional penalty. And Kevin Bieksa in line, right off the inside of the ankle again. He's already got sore feet.
Coyotes to the power play for the 5th time in the game. With a little over a minute to go in the second period. Garrison and Kassian, the assists on the Dalby goal. Here's Ekman Larsson, wrist shot. Luongo got a piece of that. Now Yandel to Bodker. Back to Keith Yandel. Final minute, second period. Canucks leading 4-2. Bodker put that one in front with his skates, and now an open net for Vermette, who has a hat trick. The second hat trick of the season for Antoine Vermette, 3rd of his career, and the Coyotes are back within 1.
Now this is a good play by the Coyotes, and again it's just get traffic in front and direct the puck at the net. Off Bodker, and there's traffic. Shane Doan does a nice job, just guides it over. He knows Vermette's going to be there. Bodker off the skates to Doan. I guess Shane Doan was trying to jam that one in himself, but either way, it turns out to be a nice pass to Antoine Vermette.
So Vermette has some form of trifecta here with an even strength goal, a shorthanded goal, and a power play goal. And all 3 tallies for Phoenix belong to number 50. 3rd hat trick of the year for the Coyotes. Vermette with 2 of them now. And that sucks a little bit of the life out of Rogers Arena. Phoenix now has a power play goal in 10 of its last 11 games. Smith is caught out here. Daniel Sedin trying to center for Richardson. Here's Burroughs wraparound attempt. Richardson on the rebound, put it wide. So Richardson's back in the game. Kevin Bieksa, though, has gone to the Vancouver dressing room. As the Coyotes clear the puck. Garrison backhands it back in, tagging up his Burrows to allow play to continue. 20 seconds to go in the second period. An eventful one, to say the least. Canucks trying to get out with the lead. Luongo out of his net to play the puck. Round for Garrison. Now ahead. Kassian plays the puck into Phoenix territory. Smith out to clear it to the side. And that's going to do it for period number 2, with the Canucks heading to the dressing room with a 4-3 lead.
This period brought to you by McCain's new 4-meat rising crust pizza. McCain, it's all good.
Canucks with a 40-minute lead. They'll try to protect this one and register an all-important win against a conference rival. Our trade tracker in the second intermission will feature Ales Hemsky, and then more from the panel. Dan Murphy, Mark Spector, Ian McIntyre. Canucks 4, Phoenix 3. We're through 2.
Welcome back to Vancouver. Canucks with a 1-goal lead heading into the third period. Second period scoring summary brought to you by Panago Pizza. Before, during, or after the game, get a fresh Panago. Canucks got out to a 4-2 lead before Antoine Vermette's hat-trick goal cut the lead to 1 once again.
So 4-3 as we go to the third. Canucks with their 4 goals on just 14 shots on Mike Smith, who's down to our left. Roberto Luongo for Vancouver has faced 22. And Brad Richardson stays between Burrows and Daniel Sedin. A steal by Burrows and a shot wide. Now he centers off Smith. Puck to the right wing boards. Tanev trying to hold it in. Poke past him by Vermette, who tried to turn and feed a pass at center, and that was broken up. Oh, look out. That puck off Burrows' stick and right into the Phoenix bench. Whistle blows, and that gives us a chance for John Garrett's Fresh Take. Brought to you by Subway Restaurants. Enter for your chance to win the Subway Road Trip of a Lifetime at roadtripofalifetime.nucksnation.com.
A lot of people were talking about Martin Hanzal before this game. Well, the team can get back on him. There's Dan Hamhuis, a little shot. Here's Brad Richardson, a little shot. We've been keeping track of this. And he's not going to drop the gloves against anybody, but just make sure his life is not too pleasant. The Canucks 6 times in the first 2 periods have given Martin Hanzal the stick.
Now it's Kessler. Hanzal reaches out, grabs Kessler a little bit. Play goes on, and Hansen has the puck. Try to pass at center. That was blocked. Garrison follows up. Ahead for Higgins. Ekman Larsson dumps the puck back into the Vancouver zone, and Alex Edler is there to collect. Garrison did well to negotiate that pass. Now he throws one to center. Puck bounces over the Phoenix blue line. Ekman Larsson for the Coyotes. Gives it away at center to Chris Higgins. Stanton try to pass ahead. That's broken up, and Hanzal drops back in his own zone for Ekman Larsson. Zbigniew McCulloch. And the puck played into the Vancouver zone. Kevin Bieksa was shaken up in the second on a shot block. Back out there with Ryan Stanton. Dale Weiss with a pass to Dalpe. And his feet broken up. Bieksa's trapped now as Schlemko moves in on the left wing with a wrist shot. Luongo stick save, bobbled the puck a bit, but Weiss is there to shovel it back to him for the whistle.
Shane Doan saw that rebound, tried to pounce on it. Dr. Mike looking after Shane Doan and diagnosing his Rocky Mountain fever. Here's the shot by Schlemko after the turnover by Dalpe. It's deflected. That's why Roberto had so much trouble with it. It was Ryan Stanton tipped it, and Roberto able to track it down.
Stanton, after the loose puck in his own zone, it comes to Bieksa, who rings it around. And played back in offside by Ekman Larsson as the puck just escaped the zone. Jay Scher is right there to make the call, and the face-off will be outside the Vancouver blue line.
Zach Kassian went awkwardly after that one. It came around his side, and that should have been an easy out. Ekman Larsson, we talked about 11-something in the first period, over 12 minutes in the second. He's 24:08 after 2 periods.
Tiring night. His team down a goal as we approach the 2-minute mark of the third. McCulloch back to that puck. Dumps it ahead for Jeff Halpern. Richardson broke up his pass at center, and Burrows tips the puck back into Phoenix territory. Ekman Larson under the check of Daniel Sedin. Here's Richardson. Daniel had his stick knocked out of his hands. He retrieves it as Richardson tries to hold the puck in the Phoenix zone. Chipchura tried to get it up the boards. Now he gets another opportunity. He'll skate the puck ahead and pass it center for Doan. Halpern after to the corner. Stanton's on him. Second game back for Ryan Stanton after missing 15 with the ankle injury. He's battling for the puck. Burrows there in support. Knocked down by Doan. Here's Morris. Yandel. Slap shot deflected just wide. Chipchura was right in front. Halpern might have got a stick on it further out. And now up with the puck is Stanton with a pass to Burrows. Lost his feet. Now he's hit by Halpern as he clears the puck ahead.
Oh, there's that face mask. Oh, that's too many men. Come on. Oh, and now the referee is looking over.
Mike Sullivan furious as the player jumping onto the ice took the pass well before the player he was replacing was on the bench. And it seemed like everyone in the building saw it. Bieksa deep in his own zone, banks the puck around for Hamhuis, who turns to get away from Lauri Korpikoski.
You can see Alex Burrows every now and then, especially along the boards when that puck comes around. With that face mask he's got on, he just can't find it. Gets in his feet and then he mishandles it.
Reminds me of the time you had to play with a cage on in Calgary. Didn't you step on a puck in warm-up?
Oh, yes.
Schlemko up the left wing. Kennedy steps over the Vancouver blue line. Tried to wrist one in front. Puck deflects to Yannick Hansen. Through center with Ryan Kessler. Kennedy hounding Hansen from behind, but he's able to fight it off and play the puck in deep. Oh, Smith almost gave it away to Hansen as he tried to pass ahead. But Kennedy able to come up with the puck and move it out to center. Hansel. His shoot in taken by Edler. Quickly ahead to Higgins. Trying to back his way in, but he couldn't bring the puck with him. And it's back to the Vancouver blue line. Just over 4 minutes gone in the third. Zbynek McCulloch. Ahead for Verbata, who heads to the bench after deflecting the puck behind the Canuck net. Edler swoops back to pick it up. Banks one ahead, and there the Canucks got away with it.
Yes,
so
they're even.
that was too many men. With Higgins not yet on the bench when Daniel Sedin took the pass. Daniel Sedin from the corner. Burrows try to get it in deep for Richardson. Puck is still in skates in the corner. Burrows comes up with it. This time gets it through, but no Canuck there. McCulloch sends it ahead, held in by Stanton. Long shot. Smith the save. Big rebound. And McCulloch there for Phoenix. Ribeiro rink wide at center. Here's David Mawson on the right wing. Drop pass broken up nicely by Bieksa, who then shoved Doan into the sideboards. Here's Daniel Sedin the other way. Burrows wrist shot just missed. And still looking for his first goal of the season. Puck loose behind the net. Daniel Sedin tried to find Richardson in the corner. He's checked by Morris. And here's Ribeiro. Lead pass, breakaway. Doan in on Luongo. Dietz, and it trickled through. Second time in the game the Phoenix player didn't get a shot. But this one went off Doan's stick through the legs, and it's a 4-4 tie.
Well, clear-cut breakaway for Shane Doan right down the middle. Both goaltenders will not have this game on their highlight reel. Shane Doan is trying to go backhand and mishandles it, and it goes right through Roberto Luongo. Nice pass. Shane Doan head up. He's trying to pull it to the backhand. It is bobbling, and Kevin Bieksa can't get back in time, and it's right through.
Doan's 15th. Ties the game twice now. The Canucks have squandered 2-goal leads. Up both 2-0 and 4-2. And the game with 5.5 minutes gone in the third. Squared at 4. You're the one who's opining and hoping for a 6-5 game.
It might be a 6-5 game.
Icing call against the Canucks. And as we wait for the drop of the puck, here's Murph. Well, Murph
Well, guys, shop and swipe your club card at Safeway today. Watch future Sportsnet telecasts, and you could win a week of unlimited luxury at Dreams Resorts and Spas, courtesy of brightag.ca.
Guaranteed he was looking at a mirror.
Biggest goal this season, score number 19 is Shane Jones.
Chris Tanner trying to get the puck out, chopped towards the net by Hansel, steered wide by Roberto Luongo. Here's Kennedy for Verbata. Blue line feed, Stone, long shot. Oh, it changed direction, just missed with Luongo leading right, watching the puck go to his left. Kennedy centers, Verbata fired it up over top of the goal, and the puck ricochets out to center. Phoenix back in. Kennedy drops, Verbata, sharp angle shot, Luongo stopped that. Now Verbata again trying to bank one in. Kennedy gets the puck in front, knocked away from him by Dan Hamhuis. Higgins plays the puck down into the Phoenix zone. Hansen on the floor. Trent Kessler comes in looking for the puck. It's loose at the side. Cleared up the boards. Higgins there. Down for Jannik Hansen. Hansen to the blue line. Edler with a shot. Awkwardly stopping that one is Smith, as he sprawled left and forward, but made the save with the glove, and he hangs on to keep it tied.
Think you know the Canucks? Prove it. Enter the MBNA Last Fan Standing contest for a chance to win. Predict game day action for a chance to win season tickets for the Canucks. So what are you waiting for? Visit Canucks.com/Last Fan Standing today and learn more, and you could be the last fan standing.
It'll be the last team standing in this one. Roller coaster affair. 4-4 tie. So I guess the good news is the Canucks have scored some goals. Be nice if that man could get one as well, as Burrows tried to steer one on goal. Puck winds up on the stick of Moss, who's pressured by Edler, and the puck stays in the Phoenix end. The two 14s doing battle, Halpern and Burrows. McCulloch tries the other side for Ekman-Larsson. Puck knocked down to the Vancouver line. Moss follows on, gets to Doan, who's got a goal and an assist. Doan needing one more assist for 500 in his career. Morris, wrist shot, deflected, and Luongo stopped that and held on for the whistle. Well, some time ago, the Canucks scored two quick ones to go up 4-2. Chris Higgins, the 3-2 goal, and a winner on score and win for Safeway, an Ocean Spray Juice Blend. Austin Holmquist in New West, he won a Hoover Wind Tunnel Multi-Cyclonic Bagless Canister. Then it was Zach Delpy with the next goal, and another winner, this one from Vancouver for Safeway and Ocean Spray Juice Blend, Bashan Kangure. You won a Lagostina 10-piece stainless steel cookware set. Face-off win for the Canucks in their own zone. Hamhuis up the middle, Kessler, quick pass to Hansen. Kessler has a look at Hansel as he was bumped by the big Phoenix forward. And the Coyotes take the puck back. Hansel gets the puck. Skates forward with a pass onto the right side for Keith Yandel. Yandel across. Verbata turns on the left wing. Carries into the corner. Centers. Puck is loose. Luongo trying to poke it away. Higgins got it to the side, and Hamhuis starts from behind the net. Ahead to Chris Higgins. 4 Canucks on this rush. Hansen moves in, tries a long shot, and that's easily tipped out of play by Derek Morris for a face-off in the Phoenix zone. And now Hamhuis trying to drop the gloves with Hansel.
Martin Hansel.
You said it would take an unlikely character to entice Hansel into dropping the gloves. He doesn't generally go with anyone who fights normally.
He did a couple times in his rookie year, but that was just trying to establish himself. And there's Dan Hamhuis and Hansel. And we saw early in the first period, same sort of thing.
So 2 each for roughing. And remember, the Canucks have 7 defensemen dressed.
That's right. That's right.
It'll be 4-on-4 at 8:06 of the third period. Konopka and Jared Bull are the two sort of fighter types that Hansel has gone with, and you chronicled the others earlier, the likes of Devin Setaguchi and Rick Nash.
Jonathan Toews. James Neal.
He's off for 2 for roughing here with Hamhuis. Daniel Sedin out with Alex Burrows. Kevin Bieksa, Ryan Stanton on defense. Antoine Vermette, who has a hat trick in this game. takes the face-off and wins it for Phoenix. Vermette almost always in the top 10 in face-off percentage in the NHL, and that's where he sits exactly coming into this game, 10th. Clicking in just over 56%.
He was 9 out of 13 in the first 2 periods in this one.
Ekman Larsson shoot in off the dasher and over the glass. The face-off will come outside to center ice.
4 goals at home should be enough, especially when you've struggled like the Canucks have struggled. But this has been one of those games where both goalies have not been what you would expect.
Luongo had one going wide. That was the first Vermette goal that he reached out, steered into his own net with his stick. Kessler trying to clear a puck, wound up angling one off Vermette's stick in behind Luongo. And then Doan completely lost control of the puck on a breakaway. Meanwhile, Mike Smith, who you talked about, has had an interesting night as well as we check in with Murph.
Guys, in this issue of Sportsnet magazine, we give you the 5 things that need to happen for Canada to repeat as Olympic hockey champions. Subscribe today at sportsnet.ca/magazine.
Score a bunch of goals. That'll work. Kevin Bieksa's the R.A. Dickey shot from the point. I don't think Mike Smith really liked that one. The Jannik Hansen one went right through.
Like you say, they'll point to other nights in their careers.
Yes.
They ever have an arbitration case or anything like that? Still 4-on-4 for over a minute as we hit the 9-minute mark, third period. And like the manpower situation on the ice, the score reads 4-4 as well. Garrison at center, ahead for Higgins. In with a centering pass intended for Edler. That's knocked away, and here comes Mikkel Bodker. Trying to go wide on Kessler. Garrison comes over to knock the puck free. Chipchura is after it for the Coyotes. Edler trying to dig it out of skates. Now Kessler forces the puck along for Jason Garrison. Pass ahead to Edler. Canucks changing in the neutral zone as he moves in with a wrist shot attempt. Deflects right back to Bieksa. Right up the middle. Wrist shot blocked by Smith. Again with a bit of an awkward forward motion with the catch, but he's able to hang on. Canucks in the second of a 4-game homestand. And here you go. It's been the year of the back-to-backs, and they're at it again tomorrow against the Oilers, who are home to Nashville tonight. We're on the air with our coverage. 6 o'clock, the extended pregame before the Canucks and the Oilers hook up 24 hours from now.
Oilers doing well against Nashville. They were ahead 4-1 last I looked.
Brad Richardson up with the puck. Blue line feed, Bieksa. Wrist one on goal. Blocker saved by Smith. Morris clears the puck, and this will be icing. With 12 seconds to go in the coincidental penalties to Hansel and Hamhuis.
Mike Sullivan, this is one of those games where you really like the way you played offensively, and you've got goals from guys you don't really expect. Zach Dalpe, Kevin Bieksa, and yet you're in a 4-4 tie with 10:06 left.
Dalpe out for this faceoff as he's paired with Daniel Sedin on this ship. And a faceoff won again by Vermette. Morris looks up ice, gets it by Stanton. Doan just onside as he moves it. Tried to go inside out on Stanton, who had none of that, and here's Dalpe. Penalized players step back on, teams to full strength as Dalpe moves down the right wing with a wrist shot stopped by Smith, and he hangs on for the whistle with under 10 minutes to go in the third. Anybody's hockey game. Canucks and the Coyotes knotted at 4.
Get your tickets now to the Heritage Classic game to be held at BC Place March 2nd between the Canucks and Senators. You can be a part of Vancouver hockey history. Go to ticketmaster.ca/NHL or call 1-855-985-5000.
There's a look at Alain Vigneault in the snow, Peter DeBoer, and the rest of the Jersey coaching staff. I like the snowy atmosphere, the tradition of the cold and the pond hockey rather than the LA one. I know Speck loved the LA one, but of course he's more Hollywood than I am.
Might have been better as a paying customer. I don't know. Here's an icing call. I mean, for comfort reasons.
Oh,
alone.
yes. Oh, yes. The 70 degrees is... I know Marty Brodeur was no big fan of the one this afternoon. He was complaining about the sun and the ice and the glare.
And the score.
And the score and getting the hook.
Especially the score. Higgins pokes the puck down into the corner. Ekman Larson there for Phoenix. 9.5 to go in the third. 4-4 tie. Higgins off the glass and back out to center. Tanev, nice pass to Dan Hamhuis, who moves in. Hamhuis delays, centering, and it deflected just behind Hansen, who was cutting to the front. Hamhuis breaks up a pass at center. Hansen missed the puck, but it's off his skate right to Chris Tanev, who finds Dan Hamhuis again. Up to Ryan Kessler, who backhands the puck behind the Phoenix net. There's Smith again. Out to play it around for David Moss, who relays the puck to Mike Ribeiro. Ribeiro through center and on the right wing. Makes a move and passes in the corner for Moss, who's hit by Dalpy. Canucks clear to the side. Tom Sestito gets the puck. Fights off a check and passes to Zach Kassian, who's tied up by Ribeiro. Following on is Edler. Ahead for Kassian. Makes a move down the left wing. Morris over to knock him down. Ribeiro winds up with the puck and leaves for Keith Yandel. Ribeiro takes his pass. And here's Mike Ribeiro through center for Phoenix. Slowly over the Vancouver line. Dumps the puck to the corner. Daniel Sedin goes back. And shovels the puck along the boards for Jason Garrison. Korpikoski read that well. Almost held the puck in. But here comes Daniel Sedin. Bobbled the puck. And Bodker takes it back and drops to Zbigniew McCulloch. 8 minutes left in the third. 4-4 tie. Bodker in over the Vancouver line. Centers the puck. Korpikoski with a shot and a blocker save by Luongo. Burrows flips the puck out. Richardson giving chase. Puck dumped the other way. Bieksa gets it in his own blue line. Ahead to center. Richardson finds Burrows. Pass for Higgins into the middle. Here's Richardson trying to move in. Puck deflects to Burrows, who's down the right wing with a wrist shot blocked. Burrows after the rebound, tied up by Kennedy. Puck comes free to Antoine Vermette. And he's able to move through center before sliding the puck over the Vancouver blue line. Didn't get it very deep though. And Stanton makes a play to Higgins. Down the left wing. Puts one in front. That's off his skate. Coyotes try to turn back the other way, but they lose the puck at center to Ryan Stanton. Deflects to Ryan Kessler. And he wrists it off the stick of Kennedy and over the Phoenix line. Kessler onto it. In front. Hansen tips it over to the left side for Higgins. Sharp angle shot is off Smith and into the corner. Chipchura there for the puck. Back to Yandel and quickly ahead to Radim Vrbata. He goes rink wide at center. Derek Morris joining the rush. Gets the Vancouver line and tips the puck in behind the Canuck goal. Here's Hansel onto it. Putting it in front. Yandel settles the puck. Turns in the high slot with a wrist shot that changed direction. I think Vrbata tipped it. And Luongo was able to make the save. Back the other way is Tanev. Pass to Hamhuis all by himself as the Canucks change. Tried to get one through. That winds up on the stick of Moss, who passes around for Schlemko. He gets the puck out, and Garrison hustles back for Vancouver. Under 6.5 to go in the third. Dalpy loses the puck to Doan, who one-hands it over the Vancouver line, only to have it cleared out by Garrison. Ribeiro bodied by Hamhuis as he shoots the puck around. Loose behind the Vancouver goal. Zach Dalpy's onto the puck. He loses it, but Hamhuis is there in support. And looks up ice before making a play. That didn't work for Weiss. Dalpy able to force the puck into the Phoenix zone as we move to under 6 minutes to go in the third. Doan with the tying goal here in the final frame. Here's Vermette dishing off. Ekman Larson fakes the shot, steps around Daniel Sedin. Now from the corner, he works his way back up the boards. Pass to McCollum. Near side, one-timer by Vermette. He missed by a good margin. 3 hat tricks for Vermette. He's never had a 4-goal game. Here's Burrows, who has had one in his career, but he'll take 1 goal at this point. Maybe Burrows doesn't have a 4-goal game. I thought he did. To go back and double check on that. Remember that stretch he had when he was piling up goals? The Sedin Phoenix was one of those teams when he scored just a whole bushel full of goals in a short span of time. Sure, for him it feels like a long time ago now with 5 minutes to go. And a 4-4 tie, and here's Higgins. Through center with Hansen. Kessler, the trailer. Higgins trying to bust his way in front. Puck knocked away to the far side. Higgins dumps it behind the goal. Morris is there. Up the middle to Hansel. Now Hansel after the puck in the Vancouver zone. Hit the back of the net with a centering feed. Kessler picks up the puck behind his own net and just hoists it up the middle. Good hold there by Rabada. Right out of midair. That took some doing. And Luongo will grab the loose puck and get a whistle. Anybody's game. There's just over 4 minutes to go. 3 hat tricks for Burrows. No 4-goal games. He'd love to get one and a go-ahead goal in this game. Eventful night. Here's the game summary brought to you by The Brick. Nobody beats The Brick for furniture, mattresses, appliances, and big screen TVs.
Those 40-second spans in the first period and second period, the Canucks able to get 4 quick goals, 2 in the first, 2 in the second. Antoine Vermette, one of those games, 1 shot on goal, and he's got the hat trick. And Canucks trying to get this goal in regulation. A division rival, Coyotes right there. 4:18 left.
These games automatically used to be called 4-pointers, and Phoenix would either be 6 back or 2 back, depending on the result. But that was all skewed with the adoption of the 3-point games. So any number of points could separate these two. But the end of the night, 4 minutes to go. They're tied at 4, and Don Taylor coming up after the game. He's got a preview.
Oh, thanks so much. A reminder, after the Canucks and Coyotes, Gary Volk and I will have a full post-game show. As always, back to Rogers Arena.
He is the godfather of Vancouver television. He is Don Taylor. Anxiously waiting, like the rest of us, to see how this one plays out. Daniel Sedin in to take the face-off in place of Brad Richardson. And Daniel wins it. Burrows onto the puck, carries to the corner. Goes behind the net. Morris trying to knock him off the puck. Burrows carries on. Finds Richardson. Morris is on him. Into the corner. Burrows working on Ribeiro. Plays the puck to Richardson. Now he's got a little room. Tried to cycle for Burrows. Ribeiro cut that up. But he's bodied by Burrows. Richardson with a shot that went off Daniel Sedin and wide. Garrison trying to hold the puck in. It squirts into the middle. But didn't escape the zone. Daniel held it in. Richardson behind the net for Burrows. Trying to help the puck along for Daniel Sedin. Morris intercepts. Tanev won't pinch on that one. But he's able to hold the puck in nonetheless. Another failed clear by the Coyotes. Puck loose on the near side. Richardson to it. Round to the other side. Cassian's come on to replace Burrows. Here's Tanev. Edler. Wrist shot. Tip just wide. I think Daniel Sedin got a stick on it and narrowly missed. Cassian behind the net for Daniel. Couldn't catch up with the puck. Edler moves down from the left corner. Canucks pressuring here with under 3 minutes to go in the third. A 4-4 tie. Puck in skates. Cassian trying to dig it free. He's the freshest Canuck out there. It's onto the stick of Yandel. And he's able to skate forward. Play one wide of the Vancouver goal. And this is going to have to be a Dave Tippett timeout, I think. An icing call, and Yandel complaining he was slashed as he shakes out the left hand.
And Dave Tippett, yes, he is going to call his timeout. Nice play by Alex Edler. This little wrist shot, just get it through. And Daniel, and I think it did go off Daniel, and just missed. There's Daniel Sedin in good position. Oh, he got a stick on it, and it almost double deflected off Brad Richardson, who was standing beside the net. You're having a real lucky night. That's off your shin pad and in. We've talked about unlikely candidates in this 4-goal game for the Canucks. Well, these are the guys you count on game after game to come through. And Alex Burrows has had some chances again in this one. That wrist shot in the second period missed by about 2 inches.
It becomes worrisome when a trio like that becomes part of the unlikely candidate group, and when you're into a slump that long, it starts to feel that way. Timeout spent. Daniel will watch this shift as Kessler's out with Hansen and Higgins.
And now Keith Yandle changes his stick after the timeout. So let's just stretch this timeout even longer.
How much you want to bet Ribeiro gets waved out? No, Vermette's not out there. He couldn't come on because of the icing, of course. So there won't be the intentional wave out to buy some more time. 3 Coyotes after that puck, but the Canucks come up with it. Here's Tanev trying to find a shooting lane. Works his way down the right wing. Ribeiro trying to tie him up. Kessler's after the puck on Morris. Hansen will get it on the right side. Kicks the puck to the corner for Kessler. Trying to spin on Yandle. Higgins there helping as well. Kessler has the puck once more, knocked away from him. And Ribeiro slides it forward for Doan, who's able to clear the zone, and the Coyotes will be able to make their change. 2 minutes left. Puck sent back in. Ekman-Larsson can't clear past Hansen, who lost the puck in his feet. And Vermette got it ahead. Now here's Bodker moving it on Handhuse. Korpikoski going to the net. Bodker drops for Vermette instead. Trying to step around Higgins, centers, and that's off Korpikoski's stick and into the corner. Kessler clears, and now it's the Canucks' turn to change. Phoenix trying to take advantage as Vermette moves in. Drops for Bodker. Wrist shot, Luong with a save, and he hangs on with 92 seconds to go in the third period.
Canucks hockey on Sportsnet. Brought to you by Subway Restaurants. Enter for your chance to win the Subway Road Trip of a Lifetime at roadtripofalifetime.nucksnation.com.
John, you talked about Antoine Vermette and his hat tricks. He's had 2 hat tricks this year. And you can see that's a strange one. It looks strange just on the 3 different occasions. But how about the goals?
Yeah.
Those were strange goals.
Here's Richardson down the right wing with a wrist shot attempt off his stick. Puck on the near side. Edler moves down to hold it in. Richardson from the corner. Burrows gets the puck. Tried a sharp angle shot. That was blocked. Daniel Sedin hustles the puck on Verbata. But Verbata's out with it. He plays it to an open wing at center. Puck poked in. Garrison stops. Gets away from Kennedy. And in the middle, it's off Burrows to Edler and back to Alex Burrows. Final minute, third period. Ryan Kessler's onto the ice again. Hooks one across. Higgins with a quick shot. The right toe saved by Smith, who was moving left and had to stretch back out the other way. 40 seconds remaining. Hansen taken down in a battle with Vermette. Puck cleared around. It's off Tanev, who then recovers to hold it in. Higgins kicks the puck down the right wing, moves in on Yandle. Higgins stops, passes in front. Kessler ripped it wide. Puck cleared, Handhuse has it. Cross for Tanev with 20 seconds to go. Dan Handhuse through center. Now in on the left wing. Handhuse, wrist shot, deflects in front. Puck tipped, hits Verbata. Handhuse is hurt. There'll be a penalty here. Might have been high stick.
Derek Morris cross-checking on Dan Handhuse.
So a power play for the Canucks with 11 seconds left. More importantly, a power play that would carry over 4-on-3 into overtime. What a moment this could be for the struggling man advantage unit, an opportunity to score a huge goal against Phoenix.
Well, Derek Morris, and a good job by Dan Handhuse pressuring. Earlier, you talked about Mike Smith going one way and then going back, but you can see his left foot got planted, so that's why that save wasn't as tough as it looked originally. And there's Derek Morris on Dan Handhuse.
4th power play for the Canucks. And still looking for their first shot with the man advantage in this hockey game. Love to get one in the dying seconds here and prevent Phoenix any points in this game, but they're up against it now with the puck being tied up in the corner, and this game will indeed go to overtime, with the Canucks going 4-on-3 in sudden death in a bid to win the hockey game and get the extra point.
Shots on goal in the third period by Phoenix, 11 by Vancouver, 9. Shots on goal through 3 periods.
You're speechless.
I am speechless. Here's where you score 4 goals, and the Canucks played a good offensive game, and defensively they gave up some chances that you just wonder about. The Shane Doan breakaway. A nice pass by Mike Ribeiro, but a breakaway when you have that lead. There's Glenn Gulletson talking things over on this 4-on-3 power play. As you would say, get that extra point.
Overtime upcoming. Here's Murph.
Yes, guys, as they get set for overtime, how about a look back to the last time the Canucks won a game in overtime? Take you back to December the 6th.
Round for Ribeiro. His pass blocked. Higgins gives chase. He's got Richardson and Bieksa with him. Higgins cutting it on goal. He shoots. He scores! All's well that ends well, I suppose. Canucks give a point to a division rival, but they get two themselves as Higgins ends it at 3:41 of overtime. Could be a similar feeling to this one. Canucks up 2-0 in that game. Had to win it in overtime after Phoenix tied at 2-2. And this one, they twice led by 2.
Well, you watch Chris Higgins play, and you can see the difference. A little confidence does. Chris Higgins has been the best forward, I think, for the Canucks in this game. And he's got, as you said, back-to-back games where he scored a goal. He had 3 points in his last 4 games, and he's playing with that kind of confidence. That shot where Mike Smith had to make the save on the one-timer. I mean, how many guys in the Canucks would feel confident enough to even take that shot right now?
That Higgins goal providing the only win for the Canucks in this head-to-head series so far. This is the 4th meeting between Vancouver and Phoenix. Canucks are 1-1-1. If you look at it from Phoenix's side, the Coyotes are 2-0-1 against Vancouver. But Canucks on the power play for 1:50 to start overtime. 4-on-3. Daniel Sedin after the loose puck. McCulloch gets there first and sends it down into Vancouver territory. 3 forwards and Garrison the lone defenseman. Canucks have Kessler, Burrows, and Sedin up front. Garrison, quick move at center, up the middle of Burrows. On the left wing for Daniel Sedin. Daniel pressured by 2 Coyotes, loses the puck, and it's cleared by McCulloch down the ice. Luongo out to play it to Garrison. Minute 20 to go in the power play. So much open ice. Surely they can game the zone as Kessler moves it. Pass to Daniel Sedin. Daniel back to Burrows. Garrison settles the puck, middle of the ice. He'll switch sides with Daniel. Daniel Sedin. Down low to Burrows. In front, blocked by McCulloch. Weak clearing attempt, but Halpern gets to the puck. He can't get it out, held in by Kessler. Ryan Kessler down the left wing. Back to Jason Garrison. Daniel Sedin with the puck. Cuts to the middle. Again, they'll switch sides. Kessler takes the pass. Kessler to Garrison. He shoots. Blocked. Gets his own rebound. Shoots again. Blocked. Garrison again. And he missed the net. And the puck comes out down into the Vancouver zone. 3 cracks for the big shot of Jason Garrison, but none of them got through to the goaltender or the net. 30 seconds to go in the power play. Kessler back in. Tips the puck to the corner and goes after it himself. Shoots it around for Alex Burrows. Burrows pressured by Schlemko. Trying to keep possession of the puck. Now Kessler dumps it around for Daniel Sedin. 20 seconds to go in the power play. We're in overtime, tied at 4. Here's Burrows. Back to Daniel Sedin. Down to Alex Burrows. Sedin goes to the front. Pass comes to Garrison. Kessler shoots. Stopped by Smith after it hit the stick of McCulloch, who now clears the puck, and that'll do it. Phoenix survives. Canucks 0 for 4 on the power play. And now it's 4-on-4 in overtime. Alex Edler out with the puck. Just the one shot there from Kessler. That's all the Canucks mustered in 4 power plays. Is 1 shot on goal as Bieksa whisks the puck back in. Higgins is after it. Collides with Michael Stone. Richardson gets the puck. Bieksa's in front. Gets the pass. Stop! And he scores on his own rebound. Mike Smith smashes the post with his goal stick as the Canucks come off the bench to celebrate. While going down, Bieksa found the back of the net. The Canucks win 5-4 in overtime.
What a play by Kevin Bieksa. Read the play. Holler for that pass. Make your ears your eyes. He's just screaming for that pass. He was right down Main Street. And then the nice move on Mike Smith. He just didn't bang it away. He went to the backhand. There's Chris Higgins taking the hit to make the play. Brad Richardson out to Kevin Bieksa, tries the backhand, and then follows through on his own rebound and gets it up and over Mike Smith. This move by Kevin Bieksa. Forehand, backhand, and then the forehand again. Just under the bar.
We thought earlier this season Bieksa might have scored the overtime winner on Long Island, a goal credited to Brad Richardson. And there you see the reaction of Smith. And this time it was Bieksa, set up by Richardson. And all smiles are the Canucks as they give a point to Phoenix, blowing a 2-goal lead, but get the victory in overtime and a winner and score and win for Safeway and Ocean Spray Juice Blend on the goal by Bieksa in overtime. From Vernon, Hannah Vidan, you've won a $250 gift card from Visions Electronics. Canucks win it in sudden death. Kevin Bieksa gets the goal, his second of the night. 5-4 the final. Here's Murph.
Bit of a bizarre game in Vancouver. Back and forth swings in this one. The Canucks blow a couple of 2-goal leads to a division rival, but in the end this game would go to overtime and it would be Kevin Bieksa who would win it for Vancouver. Tomorrow they're back at it against the Oilers. 6:30 start time. Final in this one. Vancouver 5, Phoenix 4.